So let's just start by lifting and rolling the shoulders, pressing the feet into the ground, and just setting the energy by turning the head to the left as you breathe in, right as you breathe out. This becomes a mindfulness exercise, by the way. Left as you breathe in, and right as you breathe out. And just do that again a couple of times in your own breath pattern. So moving the head and not being able to focus slightly disconnects your brain from your stress centres. So you will come back to your stress, but your perspective might have subtly altered. And then come to the centre. Lift and roll the shoulders. And then bring the hands to the heart centre. Breathing in, open the hands to the side, and breathing out, bring the hands back to the heart centre, either in prayer or crossed at the heart. And again, breathing in, open out, and breathing out, bring them to the heart centre. And then turn a quarter turn to your right. And do the same again, breathing in and breathing out. And breathing in and breathing out. And then turn again so that you're facing the back of where you started, if that makes sense. And the same again, breathing in and out. And breathing in and breathing out. A quarter of a turn again. You can see that we're just moving around a little bit and just taking the mind away from altering the mind's perspective. It's like having a different chair in a room. You always go for the same chair, but a different chair just again subtly alters the perspective. And then back to the beginning. Breathing in and breathing out. And breathing in and breathing out. Lower the hands. So this is another perspective changer. It's a balance, but slightly different. It comes within something called the somatic movement. So somatic is sensing or feeling, and it takes the mind out of the equation. So come to the back of the mat, and it doesn't matter which foot you put forward, and you can have your feet out to get your balance, but we'll put one foot in front of the other. Almost big toe of the back foot touching the heel of the front foot. And you might want your hands out slightly to get your balance. And then very gently bring the back foot forward so that it's in front of the first forward foot. Again, just get your balance. If you find this very easy, you can clasp your hands and just slightly sway from side to side. But otherwise, just have your hands out. And then again, we just bring the next foot forward. You're using your brain to balance. And in using the brain, there's not much space left for stressing in this precise moment. And then the next one. And then the last one, the next one. And then lower the hands and come back to standing as you were. Lift and roll your shoulders. Bring the hands to the heart center. Circle the hands up, palms touch. Stretch out from your waist, away from your pubis. Hands through the center as you bend your knees and hands onto the shins. Breathing in, half lift. Breathing out, curling in. Breathing in, half lift. Stay here as you breathe out. And breathing in, soften the knees, press your feet down, roll up vertebra by vertebra to standing. Head is the last thing to come up. Stretch the arms up, stretch the third fingers, and then breathing out, lower the hands back down alongside you. Again, hands together at the heart center. Circle the hands up, the palms meet at the top, and then bring the hands through the center, soften the knees, the elbows are already bent, and bring the hands to the shins, your half lift again. Breathing in, lifting and lengthening along from the tailbone to the top of the head, engage the perineum. Breathing out, soften in, knees and elbows. Breathing in, half lift again. And stay here as you breathe out. When you're ready to breathe in, soften the knees, press the feet down and roll up vertebra by vertebra to standing. And once you're up, once again raise the arms, stretching third finger, and breathing out, lower the hands. And again, connecting the energy back to the heart center. Just look at the tops of your fingers for a moment. And then circling the hands as we come into the half lift again, stretching the palms up. Palms touch. Come through the center of the body as you bend your knees, and your hands go once more to your shins. Half lift, lengthening along the spine, chin tucks in. Breathe out, soften in. Breathe in, half lift. And stay here as you breathe out. And then breathing in, soften the knees, press the feet down and roll up vertebra by vertebra to standing. Hands up, stretching up, and then lower the hands. Lift and roll the shoulders again. Hands into prayer position, and open the hands, stretching out from the heart, so you're lifting your chest, and in lifting the chest, it's uplifting for the mood, so it's anti-depressing. If you really wanted to focus on this, you could lie at the ground with support under your back so that you're just lifting up. But we're going to hug ourselves now, self-compassion. Note which hands on top and soften your knees, coming forward and just sway slightly from side to side, hugging yourself. Chin comes into the chest, which is calming for the nervous system. It activates the vagus nerve. And then breathing in, come to upright again. Remember which hands on top as we open out again. Stretching from the heart center, and then if you can remember the other hand on top. If you can't, then don't worry, and then just come forward again and just very gently hug. Self-compassion as you hug from side to side. Love for yourself, and then just coming up and opening the hands up to the ceiling, lifting the chin. Again, lifting the chin with caution disconnects the eyes from the stress centers of the brain, so it very much becomes a mindfulness movement. And then head upright and lower the hands back down. And just gently circle the wrists up so that you become almost like a star. You can step your feet out a little bit if you want to make a real star. And then circle the wrists down. And just shake the wrists, shake the hands. And then just for focus on the feet, lift your right heel so that your right toes are on the ground, and just circle your right knee a few times so that you're almost moving the ankle and moving around the feet, and then circle your right heel in the opposite direction. And then lower the right heel, balance your weight, and then lift your left heel and just circle a a few times in one direction, your knee might circle, and then circle in the opposite direction. And then step with your feet apart. Make your star with your arms at shoulder height. And then this very familiar movement of all energies. Feel free to adjust your feet, swaying from side to side. All energies, the 5 energies in the Eastern, well, in the Ayurvedic world, yogic world, so those are Apana, not necessarily, I'm not saying in the right order, Apana, Samana, Dhyana, Prana and Udana. All 5 winds or energies are supposed to govern the body. It's the lack of movement, stagnation, which can lead to us being out of balance, and how that manifests depends a bit on us and how we're made, really. It manifests in different people in different ways and according to our constitution. And just really enjoy the movement. The side to side again becomes mindful. You can't hold stress or thoughts so much while your focus is altering. And just come to standstill. Bring your feet back to hip width apart. Lift and roll your shoulders and just see how you feel. And then raising your right arm, stretch it up. Hold your left thigh with your left hand and feel you're between 2 panes of glass, chin tucks in. As you slightly go over to the left, you're stretching out your right side, so this becomes a lateral stretch. You can, if you want, to look up to your hand, but checking on your neck capability, and that's optional. Breathing in, come to upright, stretching up, and then lower your right hand. And then snake your left hand up, stretching it up, turn the palms to face your head, turn your palms as the inside faces you, and then right hand on the right thigh, and again coming over to the right side, chin in, or if you want to look up, that's fine too. Just stretching out now the left side, and then breathing in, stretch up, and then lower the left arm. Lift and roll the shoulders. And then breathing in, raise the right arm again. Stretch up, breathing out, turn the head a little bit or a lot, whatever works for you, to the left. Take an in and an out breath. And then bring your head back to center. And when you next breathe out, lower the right arm back down alongside you. And then raise the left arm, stretch it up. Breathing out, turn the head to look over the right shoulder. Stay here for an in and an out breath. And when you're ready, bring the head back to the center and breathing out, lower the left arm. Lift and roll the shoulders. Clasp your hands behind you to open the shoulder of the collarbone, which opens the lung meridians, and aim knuckles to the ground, and you'll feel your chest lift again. So then this becomes an uplifting for the movement. Just bring your hands slightly away from you. If you want to be very yogic, you'd have your palms together, but it's easier with open palms, of course, so you choose. And then just turn slightly to the left, come to the center, and then turn very slightly to the right, and come to the center. Just release the palms, and once more lift and roll the shoulders. And then come to just tap under the collarbones, almost in that you can have your fingertips or just your knuckles, where the collarbone meets the shoulder. It's your K27 point. It might feel sore. It's where energies meet. It's freeing off the flow, the energy flow of the body. And then come to a standstill with that. And then very peculiarly, just raise your hands and just tap around the fontanelles, the top of the forehead. But if you prefer not to tap, just around the top of the head, you can bring your fingers and just draw your fingers from the centre of the skull outwards, almost over your head, down towards your ears. So you choose which you feel to be most soothing for you. All those little dents you can feel under your fingertips are acupressure points. And each point has a particular reference to a bodily function. It is quite fascinating. I've got a chart of the head, each little point in Ayurveda has its own name, and I know in Chinese medicine it has its own name as well. And then just release your hands and lift and roll your shoulders. And then hands together at the heart centre, we're going to come to lying on the ground. Legs out. Take your time. Hopefully we've warmed up a little bit. And with your legs out, I've got my knees bent and then just to set my bottom down straight and then legs out. Just extend your right heel and extend your left heel, just opening out the hip. Your hands at this point can be palms down or will even rest on your abdomen, so you choose, or can be up like in true Shavasana. And then just circle your ankles in one direction, beginning to wake the body up, beginning to boost the circulation. And then circle your ankles in the opposite direction. And then extend both heels together so as the toes are facing up to the top of the ceiling. And then gently point your toes away. Extend the heels and then point away. And then just release and relax. Your feet out to the side. And then bend one knee and then bend the other knee. So both feet are on the ground and your knees are up to the ceiling. Your feet are hip width apart. And just gently begin to turn your head to one side. You can either linger here or bring it back as you coordinate with your breath and turn it to the other side. Give the weight of the head, the back of the skull, to the ground. And again, a couple of times in your own breath pattern. And then bring the head to the centre. And you have an option to have your feet slightly wider than hip width apart. We're going to initiate the movement of swaying our knees from side to side by the feet. So pressing the feet into the ground to initiate the movement of the knees dropping to one side, and your opposite hip will lift off the ground. Your hands can be palms down alongside you or resting on your abdomen. Bring your feet back to centre and then slightly engage your feet, soles of your feet down to initiate the movement of the knees going in the opposite direction, and the opposite hip will lift off the ground. You might decide that you want your feet slightly wider than hip width apart. And again, just a couple of times, a few times, in your own breath pattern, but initiating the movement from the feet by slightly engaging them into the ground. So this becomes, apart from a somatic sensory movement, it becomes a rotation, a very simple rotation for the spine, which is helpful for the digestive system and one of the movements for optimal back health. And then still keep the sway of the knees from side to side, but this time have a sense that your knees are activating the movement. So there's a subtle change in perception. Your knees are leading. Your feet are being not so given such prominence. Your knees are leading the movement. You can roll right over to the side or a little bit over to the side. There's no right or wrong. It's entirely what a perception or a preference or something that you connect to more naturally. And then we're still going to carry on doing this side-to-side movement, lifting the hips off the ground, but this time leave the knees and bring your focus to the hips. So pressing your hips into the ground, the hips initiate the sway-to-sway movement. And again, that's a subtly different movement. You don't think about it naturally, you have no awareness necessarily of how you're initiating your movement. It's just isolating the movement. Again, there's no right or wrong. If you prefer initiating the movement from your hips, you're pressing your hips down to initiate the movement. Your head might be moving a little bit from side to side. And then very, very gently come to have your knees to the centre. You might want to bring your feet slightly in more towards hip width apart, and maybe you'd like to move your feet slightly closer to your bottom. It's just for you to be comfortable. And this time, focus on the tailbone. So imagine your tailbone like a clock, and move your tailbone down towards the ground with a little arch appearing in your lower back, so moving it towards your 12 o'clock. And then reversing that movement, so flattening your back to the ground, lifting your tailbone as to your 6 o'clock. How much you lift is up to you. Bring the tailbone back to neutral, so to the centre of the clock. And then just very, very gently go to your 3 o'clock, which might involve moving your knees slightly, and going onto the right buttock, lifting off the left, come back to the centre, and then go to your 9 o'clock, so that your knees move subtly in the opposite direction. And how far you move is up to you. And then come back to the centre, and again, just repeat going to your 12 o'clock, your tailbone is going towards the earth, a little gap onto your back, and then reversing that, flattening the back so that you come to your 6 o'clock, and your bottom almost lifts off, up, away from the ground. And then come back to the centre, go to your 3 o'clock, and centre, and then go to your 9 o'clock. Come back to the centre. And now your invitation is to move around the clock, clockwise. Your knees might get involved here as you move smoothly around quite a small area, flattening your back as you come to your 6, 25 past 6, 6 o'clock, and then half past, and then 25 to, and then moving your knees as you go up to your 9, and then up to the top again. And again, just circle again around the clock, massaging around your bottom, your sacrum, your lower back, and focusing very much on the bottom or foundational apana energy of those 5 energies. And then reverse your circle so that you're going around anti-clockwise. So the apana energy focuses on the lower abdominal energy, and when we're stressed, that can often slug up a little bit. It affects our lovely subject of bowel movements and constipation. Obviously drinking lots of water helps, or lots of fluid. And then just very gently come back to neutral. And keeping your right foot where it is, hug your left knee into your chest. Just enjoy that hug going into the lower back. And by the way, talking about stress and all those lovely things, if you're stressed, often your lower back can feel a bit stiff and sore. Stress and lower back can often be linked. You're tightening all your muscles. So this Apanasana variation goes some way to helping that. Just gently circle your knee as you're holding it, your left knee in one direction. And then circling your left knee in the opposite direction. And then dropping your hands underneath your left thigh and extend your left leg up to the ceiling. Your knee can be bent, it doesn't have to be straight, but try and extend your heel and just feel that stretch all the way along the back of the left leg. And then gently toes go up to the ceiling, so you're extending your heel and sort of pointing your toes. Just circle your left ankle a couple of times again in one direction and a couple of times in the opposite direction. And then hugging the left knee into the chest and opening the left knee to the left, placing the left ankle on top of the right thigh, palms either hands down or on your abdomen, and just sway both knees from side to side. Your hips will lift off the ground. So this becomes a very gentle and soft figure of four. It's an upside down pigeon. So very helpful for lower hip health, back health, massaging across the top of the bottom, the sacral area. You're moving over an acupressure point on your bottom. A few other disciplines, I like Pilates, I think they have a ball, soft ball underneath that point, so this is another way of getting to that. And then finally, hugging the left knee into the chest, holding the left foot. Yogically, you'd hold it from the inside, and non-yogically, it's easier, you hold it on the outside of the foot up to the ceiling, knees aiming down towards the floor. It's half happy baby, and your knee might go out to the side to miss your tummy. Just opening the hip for a couple of breaths, and then gently releasing the left foot back down to the ground. Just raise your arms above you, hold your wrists or hold your forearms. Your backs of your hands may connect to the floor, they may not, and then just sway your knees, lifting your hips off the ground a couple of times from side to side. But while you're doing this, you're stretching out under the arms, connecting into the upper lymphatic system. But your elbows are bent, so it should be a softer stretch. The more you bend your elbows, the softer it is under your arms. And then coming to the centre with your knees, lower your arms and then hug your right knee into your chest. Feel if you need to adjust your left foot, you can. Just enjoy this Apana or Apanasana pose on the right side. The right side connects to the liver and the gallbladder, and they are said to be the seat of anger, frustration, irritation, generally life stresses and strains. And being right-handed as well, people are often more compromised on their right side, their right hip, perhaps, not always. And then holding the right knee, just very gently circle the right knee a few times in one direction. And then reverse that circle a few times in the opposite direction. Just exploring the hip mobility and moving the femur in the hip socket ever so gently. And then very gently clasp your hands underneath your right thigh and very gently extend your right foot to the ceiling, your knee can be kept soft. And extend your heels, feel the stretch along the back of the leg. And gently point your toes to the ceiling and extend your heel, stretching out along the back of the leg. And then begin to circle the right ankle a few times in one direction. And then circle the right ankle a few times in the opposite direction. And then very gently hug the right knee into the chest again. And open the right knee to the right, resting the right ankle on top of the left thigh. Your hands can be resting on the ground or on your tummy. You can even take your right hand, if you want to, and place it gently on the inside of your right thigh, just to open the thigh out slightly more. You'll feel that in the outer right hip. But then just very gently sway the knees from side to side. Opening up the hip on the right side. Opening up the lower groin, the groin space, which is your lower lymphatic system on the right side. And then coming to the centre, hugging the right knee into the chest, maybe moving the right knee out to the right a little bit. And coming to half happy baby pose, so either holding the right foot underneath with the fingers out towards the upper edge of the foot from facing outside, or hold the foot on the outside, which is easier, and bring the foot to the ceiling, the knee is bent, aiming towards the ground, hand of the left hand can be resting on your left thigh bone or on the ground. Half happy baby, you can keep it static or just gently sway slightly from side to side. Just opening the right hip in a slightly different direction. Hips carry a lot of stress. In psychology, I ought to correct myself, in where they link the body with the mind, the hips are supposed to represent where we move forward in life, where you can see where you're moving forward. And if there's not a plan or there's not, you don't know where you're going, often your hips can reflect this, but also the hips then connect into the lower back. And then hug the right knee into the chest, hug the left knee into the chest, and just very gently rock from side to side. Again, you're rocking across the back of the head. And how far you want to rock is up to you. And then coming to the centre, slide your hands down your shins and then hold your legs at the lower shins or above the ankle to open your knees to the side. Your big toes are vaguely aiming together, so it's a modification of supine Baddha Konasana. Your inner groins are opening slightly, just again getting blood supply into the lower hip area. And just take a couple of breaths here. Actually, this is a brilliant pose. This, or supine Baddha Konasana, or sitting up for men, giving space in the lower groin area. And then just hugging the knees into the chest and coming to a classic Apanasana, hugging both knees into the chest, still holding the knees, let both knees drift away to arm's length. And in your own breath pattern, just do that a few times, hugging the knees into the chest and just letting them drift away. Hugging into the chest and then letting them drift away. looking into the chest. And letting them drift away. And again, a couple of more times. It's so helpful for soothing the body, soothing across the lower lumbar vertebra, working on your Apana energy, very stress releasing. It's an upside down child, so although you wouldn't classify it as a forward bend, the body shape is, I know that is weird, so it's very soothing and calming for the nervous system is what I'm trying to get at. You can almost feel the blood being, as you're just using your body weight to massage, almost compressing along the lower back very safely, because your back's not being asked to hold you up at all. The ground is supporting you. So it's like an internal massage. And then just very gently bring your feet, supporting maybe under your legs to the floor. And we're going to finally leave being on our backs, rolling to the side. And we're going to take our time coming up to kneeling on all fours in tabletop. Hands are hip width apart, shoulder width apart, knees are hip width apart. And just sway the hips from side to side. You might like to join in with your head looking over one shoulder and then the other. Doesn't matter which way you go. And then breathing in, dipping the back, looking up. So cat-cow, rounding the back, chin to chest, giving mobility to the spine. And next time you round the spine, widen your knees slightly, big toes are coming towards one another or touching, and make a fist with one hand, one fist on top of the other fist, and just rest your forehead on your two hands. So it's a modified child pose, but you're not having to come down to the earth too much. If your knees are playing up, then lift your bottom up slightly away from the heels. And think about focusing your breath into your kidneys, into your back, and into your kidneys. So again, this is very calming for the nervous system. In this position, where you're supported with your hands, your heart is more parallel to the ground. So it becomes quite restful for the heart too. And then very gently pressing the hands down to come up, bring your knees together. Drop your bottom to the side and then come to have your legs out briefly in front of you. Just bounce your legs and rub your legs or pat them, whatever works for you. If you want to extend that to rubbing your arms, or rubbing your lower back, anywhere on your body, it's said to, well, it's like skin brushing, so boosting the circulation, but it's also said to brush down your aura, your magnetic energy field. And then just very gently slide your hands down your shins. Your legs can be together or slightly wider apart in the V if you want to. Just coming forward, forward bend. If you want to be very yogic about it, lead from your chest and then just come forward. For anybody who's got back issues, coming forward can be greatly helped by having a cushion or a bolster or a pillow on your tummy, on your lap, which lifts your spine at the lower level, and then you come forward. It stops you slouching. Just here, we're not going to be here for very long. If you've got long arms and you want to hold your big toe, that's fine, but don't beat yourself up. I always say it's how you're made. So if you've got long arms, you'll do it easily, and if you haven't, you won't. So And just taking an in and an out breath. And then sliding the hands up the shins. You can stay with your legs out if you prefer, you're not great on your knees. But if you want to come into a cross-legged position, then that's fine too. Hands to either side of you as you lengthen your body. And just slide your left hand out to the left, trailing your right fingers. Your chin drops down to drops down towards your chest. And you can take your right fingers off. You'll feel a stretch on the right side of your neck. And then tummy in to bring yourself upright, and then your right fingers slide to the right, your left fingers trailing towards the centre of your body, your chin drops down, and you'll feel the stretch on the outside of your left neck, chin in to protect it. And then breathing in, come to upright. And then cat-cow, holding our knees, breathing in, lifting up, and breathing out, rounding chin to chest. Breathing in, sitting up, breathing out, chin to chest, and just do that a couple of times in your own breath pattern. Your chin can stay level or it can just slightly lift. But if you lift your chin, do it with control, not to throw the head back, because that's when you can do injury. But a gentle lift is very helpful for mindful de-stressing. Again, lifting your eyes up towards the top of the head disconnects the eyes, disconnects you from the stress centers of the brain. Hard to think of stress while your eyes are up. So if you are lifting your chin up and then down, chin to chest, you're also activating the pineal and the pituitary glands, which are part of your metabolic control. And if you wanted to balance that up and down movement with the other two glands, which are the thyroid and the parathyroid, then come to sitting, still hold your knees, and breathing in, turn your head to the left. Breathing out, turn your head to the right. And just do that a couple of times in your own breath pattern. So that's balancing the thyroid and the parathyroid now. You're also beginning to balance the brain hemispheres. You can almost like feel that slight, almost like the fluid is moving. Again, very hard to retain stress while you've got your head gently moving from side to side. It's also a neck exercise. And then come to the centre. And then bring the hands to the heart. Just have a thought for the day. It can be for yourself, or it can be for someone close to you, or someone not close to you. It's a well wish, it's a thought for the day. And you mentally have that thought a couple of times and then just release it and let it go. And then the heart meditation is breathing in, just gently opening the hands. In this, we're going to do a very simple form. Breathing out, bring the hands back to the heart, chin to the chest. And just do that a couple of times in your own breath pattern. Breathing in, opening the hands out. Breathing out, bringing the hands to the heart. It's a mindfulness practice, it's a breath practice, it is a meditation practice, it's a moving meditation. It connects to the heart, the sense of touch and compassion as the heart connects to the element of air. And you can feel as you open your hands slightly the air against the fingers. Love, compassion are the positive elements. connected with this energy centre, the chakra. It's in Sanskrit, it's called the Alahatta Chakra. And there are various colours associated with this according to the many systems that exist. But commonly, of course, pink can also be green. But on the Indian system, they do use totally different colours. It's kind of very confusing. But anyway, just choose a colour that resonates with you today, to resonate with your heart energy. And just as you're opening your hands and closing them, just imagine yourself being wrapped or cocooned or protected in your choice of colour. Like cotton wool, or an auric egg, or candy floss. And then I have wanted to read you a poem. So just bring your hands to your heart. And the poem I wanted to read to you was Blessings. You are blessed today, ageless, radiant, and able. All day, every day, and forevermore, you command this earth that allows you to breathe. There is turmoil, there is sorrow, suffering, and fear. There is transformation, bringing you the change you wish to see. Gratitude, forgiveness, compassion, and devotion consciously alter your world with a mystical measure of 1 degree. So that's